Former Vice President Mike Pence has joined the government documents scandal with classified material discovered in his Indiana home last week. Lawyers for the former vice president sent a letter to the National Archives that they searched his home out of an abundance of caution after Biden's classified documents were recently discovered. The letter states the Pence documents were placed in a safe until FBI agents retrieved them January 19th. The discovery comes just days after Pence criticized Joe Biden over his mishandling of classified material.
Our staff reviewed all of the materials in our office and in our residence to ensure that there were no classified materials that left the White House or remained in our possession.
Both Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill were equally stunned. Former President Trump, who is under investigation for classified documents at his own residence, defended Pence Tuesday, despite being at odds with Pence over...
All right, let's talk with political strategist and CEO of Right Life Media Victory News contributor Luke Ball. Luke, 23 Democrat Senate seats up for grabs, a potential one-term president, Joe Biden. So are you bullish on 2024 for Republicans?
Hope springs eternal, Greg. I would be more bullish on our prospects if I weren't burned by the Republicans who are currently in the Senate, who call themselves Republicans but are actually rhinos. I think candidate quality absolutely matters. And there's one fundamental lesson that I've learned in politics. It's that the public has a very short memory when it comes to things that they get outraged about. You and I might have been upset about something that a senator did a month ago, but we may not even remember what it was or remember their name. You know, 1 Peter says that love covers a multitude of sins and time covers a multitude of transgressions, I would say, in Washington, D.C. So when you go out to vote this next election cycle, look at who is going to be on the ballot in primaries. I think that the turnout rate for particularly Christians in these primary elections is abysmal. And if Christians actually do go and turn out in these primaries and vote for people who are going to truly uphold conservative Christian values, then we will have another red wave and we will have Republicans who actually serve the American people in the Senate.
Okay, really quick follow up on that. Will the top of the ticket matter then if quality of the candidate is important? Who's running for president? Will that matter?
Here's what concerns me even more. It's that people go into the voting booth and leave a lot of spaces blank. They'll vote for who's at the top of the ticket, and so voter turnout will increase. But a lot of folks just go into the voting booth and vote for the top of the ticket like president or governor and leave blank Secretary of State or treasurer or these other down ballot races like city council. And that is an assault, in my opinion, on voting rights. We should have the ability to vote for up and down the ballot, and we should never leave it blank.
Okay. Former Vice President Mike Pence discovers his own classified documents. How will this impact Joe Biden's document troubles as well as Donald Trump?
You know, maybe we should hold the White House Easter egg hunt in Joe Biden's garage this year. We might stumble across the nuclear codes. These document revelations are not good for national security. Our classified information should not be lying beside somebody's croquet equipment in their garage or in their houses or wherever else we're finding these documents. But the fact of the matter is the media cried that there was there was a difference in between Joe Biden's document scandal and Donald Trump's document scandal. And I'll tell you exactly what it was, because they will not. Donald Trump had unilateral authority to declassify whatever documents he wanted to when he was president of the United States. Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, and then he was also a senator. The difference between Mike Pence and Joe Biden is that we're finding documents from when Joe Biden was a senator, classified documents, and he's been in office for a very long time. For all we know, these old documents contain General Cornwallis's troop movements. And I think it's really concerning because Joe Biden is the leader of the free world, but I wouldn't trust him to wield a shopping list, much less classified documents. If he accidentally punches in the nuclear codes to his AOL password, we're all going to be crawling into our lead-lined refrigerators for a few days.
All right, let's talk about Kevin McCarthy for a second. He weighed in on potential difficulties with getting Joe Biden to lower spending and control the budget. Listen to this.
But here's the leader of the free world pounding on a table, being irresponsible, saying, no, 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 just raise the limit, make us spend more. So what I have asked for is to sit down, let's find common ground, and let's eliminate the wasteful spending to protect the hardworking taxpayers and protect the future of America.
And contributor for Turning Point USA, Jobob. Jobob, welcome. Do you agree with that last story that social influence is making transgender unique and cool?
You know, I think it's hard to disagree with that. Remember, throughout the entire history of people keeping track of homosexuals in the United States, it's been about 3%, regardless of whether or not it was socially acceptable or not. And for some reason, that number has jumped to about 20% in the last decade. The only thing that has actually changed is the cultural influence around the TikToks, the Instagram pages, the influencers that are enticing people, especially these young people, to be cool and have their voices heard in this quote-unquote new minority class. So it would seem that it would be almost impossible for there not to be a massive cultural influence pushed almost entirely by your super far left progressives.
Okay, now you had a great post today sharing Adam Schiff's heroic reasons for being removed from the Intelligence Committee. Your bottom line, quote, "It's because you kept lying about all the intelligence." So is Speaker McCarthy right to hold the line against Schiff, Swalwell, and Omar with rising pressure from the Democrats?
There wasn't usually this big debate on who gets committees. Generally, Republicans pick their committees and Democrats pick their committees, and it was just fine. But Nancy Pelosi started this whole thing, and now Kevin McCarthy is saying, hey, look, remember when Adam Schiff told the American people point blank to their faces, I have seen evidence of Russian collusion, and then that evidence never came to fruition? It seems that you probably shouldn't have a blatant liar on those, the Intelligence Committee specifically, and if you want to make it about politics, I guess that's fine. You can revert back to Nancy Pelosi doing it just a year ago. But at the same time, it would seem that regardless of party, somebody in the intelligence community shouldn't be lying constantly to the American people about intelligence. So him talking about, well, it's all for political reasons because I stood up to Donald Trump seems to just be hogwash.
Yeah, maybe he was reading Hunter's laptop or he was with the Corvette. Maybe that's where he got his information. Well, I don't know if you're a candy guy or not, but M&Ms are pausing their talking candy spokesman after adding the all-female M&M packages, created backlash against the candy company for going woke. Does this really matter, or is it a bunch of nothing?
I give credit to the M&Ms PR team for making us talk about their ridiculous. Remember a couple months ago, the green M&M was reducing its sultriness, and that made the news. 2 weeks ago, they decided all of our M&Ms are now female, and we're going to turn them upside down on the package for some reason. If this is the continuing trend, I'm excited for in a couple months to have the first transgender immigrant Latinx M&M spokesperson, because apparently that's their entire goal, is to just make the news.
Okay. Speaking of making the news, let's talk about Turning Point USA and what you're accomplishing on America's college campuses, what you're doing there, Jobob.
Yeah, I'm a proud Turning Point USA contributor. Turning Point is the best grassroots conservative activism. They just launched the Live Free tour schedule for this next coming month. In March, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and yours truly is going to a bunch of different stops. Go check it out, turningpointusa.com/livefree. We'll see you on the road.
Turning Point USA, there's the website on the bottom of the screen. Go see Jobob, bring him some M&Ms, and we'll see you on the road. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.